As the year 2023 rolled in, and like every year with it, it is a time for an updated combat overhaul, and this one is my favorite thus far, due to it requiring very little effort to set up compared to its predecessors. We will begin our combat synergy setup by introducing precision-accurate melee collisions, one of the most popular releases in 2022, and a mod that overhauls approach to combat with variety of systems and features. Precision, being a multi-feature mod, firstly introduces weapon trail meshes with multiple bones that are updated every frame to the previous weapon position. Additionally, the brutality of combat is being enhanced with configurable minor slowdown and camera shake every time a hit connects. The mod also subtly punishes bad positioning with attack interruptions if the hit connects with certain surfaces. However, what makes the mod a must-have for combat setups is the way it handles collisions and physics-based features. Every attack now creates a collider for a given duration and is attached to the weapon that precisely determines whether the hit lands. These same colliders, though precise, now function by allowing users to hit multiple targets in one swing. Additionally, procedural hit reactions are included, where all actors will flinch upon receiving a hit. All these features reward good positioning and input, and allow users to perform some flashy evasive maneuvers. Speaking of which, it's time to add a dodge mod, and the options are twofold. You can choose TK Dodge, an unscripted dodge mod with multiple options animated by other members of the community that provides iframes for a duration and is quite fluid and responsive. The second option is DMCO, a behavioral dodge that allows users to both sidestep and dodge away from attacks, and works similar to Dark Souls games in its implementation. I'm proud to announce that the channel and this video has been sponsored by ExpressVPN, a #1 virtual private network that allows me to change my online location with ease. The reason why I'm happy to team up with ExpressVPN is because it allows me to access content unavailable in my country in one single click of a button. For example, Netflix as a streaming service offers different libraries for every country, thus making thousands of shows unavailable to everyone. With ExpressVPN, you can simply change your online location and control where you want streaming websites to think you're located. Just simply access ExpressVPN, click the location of your choice, and then proceed to connect. With these easy steps, new shows exclusive to country you've connected to are now available, like for example Top Gun on American, Lord of the Rings on Turkish Netflix, and much more. ExpressVPN is compatible for all your devices like phones, smart TVs, and other media consoles, and serves 94 different countries, making your selection endless. So find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by visiting expressvpn.com/syngaming or by clicking the link in the description below. New sponsor, give them some love, and big thanks to ExpressVPN's team. Collisions and positional aspects of combat being taken care of will add more systems present in modern RPGs. The goal is to overhaul the way characters behave and give more control to the user based on their action input, specifically by enabling a true 360-degree directional movement that is not tied to a custom target lock-on components. That is not to say that we will exclude it, as a lock-on feature with proper implementation can be quite nice in both melee and range combat scenarios. We will achieve this with True Directional Movement mod and add bunch of features that modernizes third-person gameplay. As mentioned, the mod implements directional 360-degree movement, a target locking feature where player characters faces their targets, a projectile tracking support for that same target lock-on, and an immersive head tracking system. Recent updates also included behavioral leading system, and at the same time, True Directional Movement does not abandon more rare scenarios such as swimming by not only including directional movement, but enabling users to swim up and down by pressing sprint and crouch hotkeys respectively. With TDM, users can utilize directional movement to reposition by using sprint and swap between targets with a simple mouse movement. This feature works in first person as well, and is quite unintrusive if you decide to swap your gameplay perspective. True Directional Movement is completely implemented using Skyrim script extender and is completely customizable through MCM, and combined with precision, drastically modernizes third-person gameplay. Combat becomes more about positioning and timed action input instead of brute forcing through stats and cheese tactics. However, we will additionally improve the combat experience to mirror the showcase in the background by introducing animation frameworks and resource management systems, and provide the AI with some changes in order to have them take advantage of previously added systems. Speaking of animation frameworks, that is a system we will be tackling next by changing the outdated and shared across the board animations in the original game with something more modern. Last Combat Overhaul utilized SkySA, however this time around, we will be using Modern Combat Overhaul, a successor framework created by the same author that ties characters' motion data with animations themselves, and drawing inspiration from today's modern RPGs, introduces attack commitment and combos. This framework is a must-have for third-person gameplay experience, and besides combos and attack commitment, it removes the ice skating issue by connecting characters' movement with weapon swings. The mod is also being used as a foundational component where other authors and animators can implement their own custom-created animations using this same framework as a reference. One collection that is most complete and that I would highly recommend if you opt into using MCO would be Elden Ring Moveset Collection, a mod that adds over 130 animations unique to every weapon found in the game and is drawing inspiration from Elden Ring. With these two installed, every fight will feel different and more engaging, as every single weapon comes with their own animation pack, and when you include combos that users and AI can perform, creates a diverse combat experience. It should be noted that these mods also introduce quite harsh attack commitment, meaning that opting for a weapon swing, whether regular or a power attack, means dedicating to that same attack, and this might not be the recipe for everyone due to its punishing implementation. Similarly, even more variety to animations can be done with ER Katana animations, another pack that utilizes MCO's framework to implement movesets for rare katana weapons like Ebony Blade or Dragon Bane. These animations seem to draw inspiration from Meteoric Blade from Elden Ring, and is easily my favorite moveset pack that I've used. Lastly, since MCO and these animation packs are heavily combo based, we will introduce a tiny mod that prevents weapons bouncing off of shields like baseball bats, enabling users and AI to continue with their combos even if the attack has been blocked. But Sin, can you stop trying to turn Skyrim into From Software games? This is an RPG. I want to be immersed into the world of Tamriel and appreciate its sights in first person. Fair enough, so let's back up a bit. Keep precision and true directional movement, but make sure to have the dodge mod of your choice be TK Dodge. The reason we're doing this is because TK Dodge also works in first person and conveniently enables dodging in all four directions, whilst retaining its iframes. Additionally, to spice up our first-person experience, we will introduce a never-dethroned mod Size Matters, a first-person animation pack that includes over 60 new animations, drawing inspiration from games like Mordhau, Chivalry, and Vermintide for two-hander swords, axes, and maces, and even Cyberpunk 2077 for katana weapons. Precision, TDM, TK Dodge, and Size Matters work flawlessly together, drastically improve the first-person gameplay, where now you're able to position away from attacks, iframe big incoming hits, and use standard or power attacks to gain advantage in combat, retaining the original first-person feel, but with added variety in animations. The last feature that remains untouched for us to improve upon, whether opting for third or first person, is being resource management. Valhalla Combat, a #1 contender to precision for the best combat mod of 2022, is an incredible script-free modification perfectly suited for this overhaul. Stamina cost is added to all combat actions, whilst enabling regen for every hit. Sitting duck scenarios are alleviated by increasing stamina regen by 5 times. Blocking is overhauled by adding time blocks and parries, where if users raise their defense and block an attack within 0.3 seconds, attackers will recoil and be open for a counter. Additionally, incoming projectiles can be blocked and parried in the same manner, while using mana as its primary resource. These features work in both first and third person, and are rewarding to perform, as they prioritize good gameplay and well-timed action input, with proper resource management being the key. Valhalla Combat also introduces poise to all actors, and once broken, allows users to perform real-time finishers and executions with selected hotkey. Another mod we'll be adding is Wildcat, but only to take advantage of its injury and AI system. The injury system is simple but adds another layer of combat depth by enhancing deadliness of combat and encourages proper preparation before engaging. These injuries introduce trauma effects that can turn the tide against the user or into their favor. For example, one of the injuries can be done to your or your opponent's arm, where the trauma would cause actors to have their weapons be unequipped. Or in another scenario, if an actor receives a chest injury during combat, their stamina levels will be depleted by 50% as a trauma or a debuff effect. Wildcat additionally makes minor changes to AI, making them more aggressive. In my experience, this is fine, but enemies tend to repeatedly bash to the point where it feels unfair. To alleviate this issue, we will add Vanguard, a simple mod that makes all of the bashes telegraphed and easier to counter, whilst providing them with high quality animations. And lastly, speaking of AI, we will add Scar, a mod that simply teaches all humanoid and beast races to utilize MCO's combo system and to relentlessly pressure the users with repeated and chained attacks. And that's it, the base of this setup is complete and drastically improved the experience. The rest is up to the individual user, as all of these mods are incredibly modular and allow for easy adjustments to satisfy all criterias. Depending on what you're looking for out of your playthrough, you can skip some mods or disable certain features accordingly, and if you're on a lookout to add more, make sure to keep an eye on the mod pages for compatibility notes. Alright, so I don't usually do guided sections, but I felt that these notes are really important to mention, and the point of this particular overhaul was to keep it light and easy even for beginner users, so let's dive in. First, if you opt out for using Precision and TK Dodge together, please make sure to tick an appropriate box in the Precision's installation menu. Second, if you want to play in first person, Precision's colliders could be a little bit too punishing, especially for bashing. I would recommend increasing values of these colliders by making them a tiny bit larger, making sure your bashes don't miss point blank. Third, true directional movement functions incredibly well with default settings, however, depending on what sort of playthrough you had in mind, sometimes you can benefit from turning drawn weapon directional movement back to vanilla style. This will enable you to strafe sideways or backpedal and dodge while facing forward even without the target lock, but at the end of the day it's all personal preference. If you're using TK Dodge and you're not a fan of any animated options, you can choose to either sidestep or dodge roll by changing this tiny little setting in INI located in the mods folder. Change to true if you want the step, false if you want the roll. As I mentioned, this overhaul uses Wildcat for its AI changes and injury system. Make sure to disable everything else in the MCM. This is paramount. Wildcat as a whole changes stamina and adds time block, which is inferior to Valhalla in my opinion, and you want to make sure to use one. For convenience sake, do the MCM changes, then download Wildcat Settings Loader. This mod utilizes MCM Helper and allows you to save your configuration so you don't have to reselect everything with every new save file. As far as the load order is concerned, ultimately is not hugely important as each of these mods do their own thing separately if installed correctly. However, if you want to fully replicate what I'm personally running, I will include the load order and plugin order on my Patreon for free of course. It's an easiest place where I can provide these details and is also a great place to directly communicate with me if you need additional help. Discord is also a great place to ask for suggestions and troubleshooting help. Join by clicking the link in the description, click the welcome tab, give yourself rights by reacting with a top hat, and feel free to open a thread in mod help or mod discussion. Other than that, if you want to support me directly, you can do so on my Patreon, where I do provide a bunch of benefits in form of followers, mod lists and ENB tweaks, and soon character presets. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.